against the law.
Good
You
point.
don't believe he said, she said shit. That is misrepresentation. That is lying in journalism. That is against the law. You cannot do that. That's the point. You're
Yeah,
right. It is a he said, she said. So when it's a he said, she said, and you can't produce proof, you err on the side of whatever the defamatory remark is not true.
and all right, guys. Now let's get into a bit of a man, it's gonna get a little bit controversial, guys. But all right, the Bible's brainwashed Christians to worship Israel. Let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. And shout out to our
Well,
guy
that
who got you.
escalated quickly.
I know, right? Hey, sometimes we gotta touch on the light topics and then go straight to the extreme. Let's go.
Are American Christians supporting Israel because of politics or because they think God will curse them if they don't? Because that's what millions of people believe, literally. So today we're going to dig into one of the most powerful forces in American politics that barely anybody understands: Christian Zionism. So how did a few Bible footnotes change the way that millions of Americans vote, pray, and even push for war? All right, so this is going to be a deep dive. You're about to learn how a mysterious Bible from 1909 rewired modern Christianity and may have changed U.S. foreign policy forever. So let's get right into it. It all starts with a man named Cyrus I. Schofield, a failed lawyer, shady preacher, and former drunk who somehow became one of the most influential theologians in American history. So in 1909, he published something called the Schofield Reference Bible. So on the surface, it looked like any other King James Bible, but it came with a twist. It came with footnotes, so interpretations, and there were thousands of them. Schofield added his own commentary right there on the same page as the scripture. And these weren't just helpful tips or definitions. These footnotes completely changed how people read the Bible. Schofield introduced a system called dispensationalism. Basically, he divided history into 7 eras, or dispensations, and argued that God had 2 separate plans, one plan for the church and one for Israel. Now, to most readers at this time, this was a new idea, but in Schofield's world, Israel wasn't just a thing of the past. It was the centerpiece of the future. Prophecies in the Old Testament weren't metaphors. They were literal predictions, according to Schofield, and they were coming true in real time. And that's when things got political. One verse Schofield highlighted, Genesis 12-3, became the cornerstone of Christian Zionism. It says, quote, "I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you." So that sounds nice, right? And that became interpreted as where the you was Israel. As in, if you bless Israel, I'll bless you. If you curse Israel, I'll curse you. And that's because this verse was being spoken to Abraham in the Bible. So Schofield interpreted this as a modern day command. If you want God to bless America, you better bless Israel. And if you don't, well, good luck.
Bruh.
So this idea took off like a wildfire, and not because Schofield forced it, but because it embedded itself inside the faith and infrastructure of millions of people. His Bible became widely popular, especially in Bible colleges, in seminars, and in churches across the South and Midwest America. For many Christians, the Bible wasn't just a spiritual book anymore. It was a political roadmap. Now, here's where it gets really intense. So, Schofield Bible didn't actually change the scripture, it changed how people read it. And in doing so, it made support for the state of Israel feel like a religious obligation. So that's why you see people like Ted Cruz on Tucker Carlson the other day saying, like,
What shocked the world, what Ted Cruz said on Tucker Carlson threw everybody off. Like, yeah, I don't think I want anybody leading my district, city, state, country with a, I guess, a religious skewed view like that. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm all in it for Israel because I believe that if I help Israel over the United States, I'll be blessed. Yeah, I don't want that ideology in a leader that's supposed to be looking over, I guess, my district, city, state, nation. Don't matter. Don't want that ideology in there.
went to the Senate with wanting to be the main proponent for Israel.
We are commanded to support Israel. And what does that mean?
So it didn't matter what policies Israel had. It didn't matter if they were right or wrong. If they were Israel, they were God's chosen. Now, here's another thing. So there are a bunch of online rumors that say Schofield was secretly funded by Zionist bankers. Yes, the Rothschilds. But there's not a lot of evidence to show that. I mean, believe me, that's juicy. I want it to be the case, but there's not a lot of evidence to show that. So it gets even weirder when you look at who inspired Schofield, this guy named John Nelson Darby. So Darby was the original architect of dispensationalism, and his background is downright chilling. So Darby's family owned something called Leap Castle in Ireland. It was considered the most haunted castle in the world. There's an estimated 150 dead bodies found in its cellar, and witnesses claimed that satanic rituals were performed right there, and seances were conducted by his relative, Mildred Darby, a Gothic novelist who wrote about a demonic force that she called the Elemental. So while Schofield was promoting this future-centered Israel obsession of his, it wasn't just theology. There might have been a deep, dark spiritual influence behind all this, but that's speculative. Now, think about this. When Schofield released his Bible in 1909, Israel didn't even exist. But just 8 years later, something remarkable happens. The British government issued the Balfour Declaration, a formal statement supporting the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Now, this wasn't just a political move, it was deeply influenced by Christian Zionists inside the British elite, including Lord Arthur Balfour himself, who held dispensationalist beliefs similar to Schofield. Now, even more curious, the letter was addressed to Lord Walter Rothschild. Literally on the figurehead of the letter, it says, "Dear Lord Rothschild." So obviously he's a key figure in the Zionist movement, and this fuels all kinds of conspiracy theories about elite coordination between Zionists, financiers, and Western governments. But this also came during World War I, as Britain was trying to secure influence in the Middle East. While the Ottoman Empire was collapsing, some argue that this declaration was part of a spiritual crusade, part of an imperial chess move, because in the early 1900s, Great Britain was actively looking at the Ottoman Empire's collapse and trying to speculate and divvy up its land proactively, and that's what they ended up doing with the Sykes-Picot Agreement after. So Palestine was seen as a strategic prize militarily and economically, and religiously. Therefore, promoting Christian support for Jewish resettlement aligned with British imperial interests in creating a Western-aligned buffer right there in the region in the Middle East. So many British political and academic elites were sympathetic to the Zionist cause, obviously including Lord Arthur Balfour, the Rothschilds, and members of the Round Table Group. But here's the thing, the support was not always religious. It was often strategic. They saw Jews as a potentially loyal population in a vital region, in an unstable region that just faced a collapse of a multi-hundred-year empire. So they hoped to appeal to the American Protestant support for Zionism,
Yes, that.
the politics. And they
Yo, what's up, Luke?
Hey, everyone. So this guy is 100% right.
Oh, let's go.
Who?
The guy we're watching,
Yeah,
Oh, with the Rothschilds and shit.
just
Yep.
everything.
About the Schofield Bible and how pretty much Christian theology has been subverted to worship Israel.
Right. And if I could add something, like it's been strategic for people to get into popular large churches to kind of like pave the way for the politics. So they did that with abortion too.
So you told me, hold on real quick. So you told me they're using large churches to push the ideology because that's what they like most people.
Yeah. So people in power rubbing elbows, I don't know if it's blackmail or if it's just they're putting their friends in that believe like them, but it's going on with a lot of stuff, and like abortion is one of it. Also, there's a push to like not question your government, because there's a verse in the Bible that says your government leaders are selected by God, so you need to submit even when they're doing something wrong, So there's like a lot of kind of like BS being taught in order to keep, because they're afraid of Christians, you know, and I think people are afraid of the Jewish people too, you know. But what this guy is saying is it's right on. Like the rapture. There's a number of topics that are like completely different just 100 years ago from the 1900 years before that of church leaders, what they taught and stuff.
All right, then. We're gonna get more into the video. Hey, if you want me to pause this, you want to explain some stuff, because I know you and Monty are the more practicing Christians, I believe. So
I
y'all
mean,
gonna be
not
able.
really. I believe in a certain um fundamental value system, but I'm not necessarily a practicing Christian. I just believe in God, and believe
Okay, you're
that
oh
you
you're
shouldn't be a dick to your neighbor.
okay. You're pretty much where I'm at with it then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I know Luke is.
Yeah.
All right, then let's keep it going.
Widely published Schofield's Bible, and probably saw this as a soft power move, influencing
Oh, my bad. Real quick, shout out to my man Jet. He says liberals offended by everything, ashamed by nothing. I mean, nothing they do. But shout out Jet.
Schofield's Bible, and probably saw this as a soft power move, influencing American opinion through theological channels. So the Schofield Reference Bible came out in 1909, Balfour Declaration in 1917. A little bit weird timing. During this gap, Zionism was gaining traction amongst British policymakers and intellectuals, promoting pro-Zionist theological views amongst Americans. And they thought this would help generate grassroots Christian support for Britain's coming actions in Palestine. So here's the question: could Oxford University Press have political or ideological motivations, not just commercial motivations? I mean, think about it. There's no direct evidence of collusion, but consider this: a British publisher printing a Bible that promotes unconditional support for Jews returning to Palestine at a time when Britain is preparing to take control of Palestine itself. And 8 years before, it publicly endorses Zionism through the Balfour Declaration. So that's either one of the most profitable coincidences in publishing history or part of a larger pattern of ideological and imperial alignment. It's almost like prophecy was getting policy backup. Now, this timing right here is just too strange for some researchers to ignore. So, the Schofield Bible
Hey, Set.
predicted that the Jews would return to Palestine in a time when it sounded
Someone in the I know it's getting off topic, but someone in the chat said I found the Trump speech where he said only psychos would say that, and they clipped it to put it out of context. Like the time he said there were good people on both sides. That was Maggie that said that. So um, if she has that video, can she hop in the StreamYard and post the link so we can watch it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I'd like
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I don't even know like the first instance of this lie came from. Like I know that you cannot find a video of Trump saying military members are suckers and losers, and it's being propagated even worse than the both sides argument, which was taken out of context. But this is even worse because no proof of it actually exists.
All right then. All right then. Shoot. All right, Maggie, you can go ahead and hit the call-in link in the post tab and go ahead and post it in the private chat, and I'll go ahead and bring it up. All right, guys, let's get right back to it.
absolutely absurd. Then, within 1 decade, global superpowers started laying the groundwork to make that a reality. That's why some say the Bible didn't just forecast history, it shaped it. And yes, his entire prophetic framework was built around the idea that the Jews would return to the Holy Land, that a nation of Israel would rise again, that a third temple would be rebuilt. To most people, that seemed absolutely absurd at the time. But after World War II, everything changed. So the Holocaust shocked the entire world, and there was sympathy for the Jewish people, and it exploded. So in 1948, Israel was officially declared a nation. And for evangelicals raised on the Schofield Bible, this wasn't just history, it was prophecy fulfilled. Christian Zionism exploded post-World War II. The generational impact was enormous. Religious education started to shape the U.S. foreign policy. kids were taught that America had a divine obligation to defend Israel or
Hey,
face
Seth.
divine punishment.
Yo,
So about this, so a lot of Christians want Jewish people to get saved. They want maybe not, you know,
I
it
think
might
I know
be
what you're
that,
talking about.
yeah, it might be
The-
that people are like confused that the people in Israel aren't descendants of Abraham, but that's what the church is thinking. They think that the descendants of Abraham are there. We let them be a state again. We're being nice to them. We're showing them respect so that they can, you know, become Christians. And you know, we're not trying to force it, but we're definitely trying to be nice to them for that reason.
Huh.
So that's kind of like, as a believing Christian, that was my perspective growing up.
And I will say, my I had this debate with my mom, because I kind of lean on your view of it. Set, it's like Israel deserves to exist, but they don't deserve to do what they're doing, and we shouldn't be supporting them if they're doing what they're doing. And my mom's take was that, hey, it's the only quote unquote Christian valued nation in the Middle East, and like they cannot exist around the quote unquote Muslim nations around the Middle East, because the Sharia law and the Muslim faith dictates that the Western way, the Western civilization, cannot stand, and like it's just like oil and water, it can't mix.
And well, also part of the Muslim faith is that, well, they are religiously obligated to attack anybody who they feel has taken their land.
Yeah.
Like, which is this? But I got, well, Luke, have you ever heard of mega church pastor Greg Locke?
To be honest, I'm not really a mega church Christian. I'm more of a fringe. A lot of populism in the church has been kind of like, it's been kind of negative, like from my perspective. So my so I'm actually very familiar with and respect Mike Bickle. He's the guy that got into a big there's some controversy around him recently, and he he has a church in Kansas City, Missouri, called the International House of Prayer. It stands for IHOP. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but he's probably the biggest church person that I listen to and follow closely.
All right then. Well, shoot, thank for explaining that one. 'Cause I did need a little bit of clarification on that.
So there's a quote from the Bible. It's Hebrew 11:16, and says, "But now they desire a better country, that is in heavenly, wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for there hath prepared for them a city." And Revelation 2-9 drops a bombshell that conspiracy theorists definitely latch onto. It says, quote, "I know the slander of those who they say are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan," end quote. So passages like that are often interpreted by fringe groups as suggesting that they are imposters within the modern Zionism and fueling suspicions that Christian Zionists are supporting something that they don't fully understand. Now, that's why I don't like leaping to conclusions with these Bible verses. But then came the Cold War, and America needed allies in the Middle East. And Israel, a democratic Western aligned state, fit that bill. So presidents began using terms like Judeo-Christian values.
Can you go back? Can you go back 5 seconds? So another sad truth about Christianity is a lot of people aren't well read in the church of their own book. So they're literally listening to somebody cherry pick verses to make points, and then
Yep.
they're doing what people do politically is they just, oh, okay, and then they just stick to it until somebody has to pull out all the evidence and wring their hands and jump through circles to get them to see the other side of it. So there's like just a lot of kind of like misinformation, and it's fragmented. But it's fragmented because if the church was united, it would be one of the most powerful political groups
Yep.
in the US.
And
And
we have
it's
a separation of church and state, so we're
yeah,
not forced under the same theology and theocracy that Middle Eastern countries are forced under, where
right.
that you are going to study the religion, you live the religion.
Yeah, and we decide what is right, what is wrong. You don't. But in America, we get to, individually, we get to pick groups. But the groups themselves, the strategy is that if we're divided, then we can't,
Yeah.
Fight against.
And here's the
yeah.
thing, I feel like what causes that division is the preacher's message. Like, think
Mhm.
about it, one preacher will take a line out of it, or a whole
Yep.
from taking a line to a whole story and having a completely different translation than the
It does
preacher
get
across the
tribal.
street. Yeah, preacher like to the next state over. Yeah, there is like a difference in message.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you can have like let's just say let's go back to Christianity in our understanding of it and how we preach it in America. You can have a Republican that says one thing based off of the Bible, and then a Democrat that reads it a totally different way, that reads it a different way, and says no, that's the exact opposite.
Yeah, it is. A lot of what we're seeing in the Democrat versus Republican, that bleeds over into the religious groups too. It's just that a lot of pastors don't get up there and speak on politics because they know that half their congregation is going to be upset, or half their congregation is going to be like thrilled.
Yep.
But it's going to get divided. So they would rather just focus on things that aren't. And the government's also been threatening pastors, saying, if you speak on politics, we'll take away your tax exemption status.
Yeah.
So there's like a monetary incentive to kind of stay out of politics too. But there are pastors and church leaders that cross that line or get real cozy to that line, and that's their thing, and that's what draws people to them, because it's just not happening. But back in
And that hold on, not to interrupt you, Luke,
yeah,
but that's the problem with going after churches, because the Republicans tend not to go after churches. But
right,
what was the biggest threat to America under Biden? Like the Catholic Church, like they were actively pursued. So yeah, it's gonna lean a certain way. You can only talk on these instances. So the survival of the fittest, i.e., the people that play ball, are going to get concentrated in the
hmm.
church, and that's going to be what's preached.
Yeah. And what I was going to say was, um uh back when the founding fathers were trying to sign um the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and all that, before they put their signature down, they all went to church at the same place, and the pastor there went through the Bible and explained like the origin of our laws and why, um from the Mosaic perspective, from you know, a bunch of different angles, and then through prayer, they were able to come together and compromise in order to agree. So there is a lot of political strength if the church were to, you know, speak the truth on the political issues as well.
All right. And all right, man. Thanks for explaining that, guys. Hey, appreciate you guys, but let's keep the video rolling. Whoops, wrong button. There we go.
I don't like leaping to conclusions with these Bible verses, but then came the Cold War, and America needed allies in the Middle East, and Israel, a democratic Western aligned state, fit that bill. So presidents began using terms like Judeo-Christian values, in God we trust, and Israel became more than just a country. It became a symbol of moral clarity in a chaotic world. So by 1967, the 60-day war of Israel's military, they were victorious, and it was being talked about in church. She was like, it was a miracle. Best-selling books like The Last Great Planet, Earth connected every news headline to biblical prophecy. And suddenly Christians weren't just interested in Israel, they were obsessed. And by the 1980s, this obsession got political. Televangelists like Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson weren't just preaching salvation, they were preaching foreign policy. So groups like the Moral Majority turned pro-Israel theology into a Republican voting bloc. Evangelicals began to see Israel as God's timepiece. Every move the country made was seen as part of the countdown to the second coming. And here's the kicker. This belief system wasn't driven by Jews. It was driven by Christians. Christian Zionists now outnumber Jewish Zionists by tens of millions. And that's why politicians are terrified of them. So they organize massive rallies, pressure lawmakers, and fund trips to Israel for American politicians. Evangelical leaders like Pastor John Hagee say things like, quote, "The day America turns its back on Israel is the day God turns his back on America," end quote. So if you're hearing that every day of your life, starting in Sunday school when you're a little kid, it's going to have an impact on you. So this is why presidential candidates fall over themselves to prove how pro-Israel they are.
And all right, I mean, that's good. What you guys think about that?
Yeah. Also the church that I referenced, there were millions of people fasting for Israel, like that they'd come to know the Lord. And so what they were doing is they were foregoing like food for like a 40-day time period. So if you can imagine Christians all around the world not eating, but like intently praying for the nation of Israel to get saved, to get victory, all that stuff. That also contributed to a lot of what this the point that this guy's making.
Damn, there's people who literally fasted for Israel.
Hold on.
Yep, 40 days.
Whoa.
Millions.
Whoa. Yo. Yeah, that threw me back. I'm not even gonna lie. That called me.
Hold on, Set. Look in the chat. To Jacob Lawrence. Just post him on the wall of shame real quick.
Jacob Lawrence or Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, here
Jacob Lawrence. You're funded by Big Corp.
I am. Oh, hey, it's like they're all bought. Wonder why this live stream is so well produced. It's because it's backed by Big Corp. I'm Big Corp. I mean, all right. I promise you, I'm like a one-man army in here right now. But hey,
I'm not getting paid.
I'm not getting paid at all. I said how much? I think I've given you like $1,600 over the last 3 weeks.
Inshallah, monkey, by the way. But yeah, actually, yes. In a way, actually, yeah. So trust me, guys. I am viewer supported through and through. Like even me running the live the way it is, I miss out on AdSense this way. Believe it or not.
I like how they said it's so well produced.
It's
I know,
well
me too.
produced.
I was like, oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate
You
that
just
part.
you got some rando on the stream talking about whatever the heck he wants to talk about, and he should have seen it the other night when there was 6 people on here arguing. You could barely hear anything. Well produced. You're oh man,
It's like, trust me, man. I was holding it together on that one.
he
That
was
one,
trying.
I overdid myself on that. With 6 people up here, I was like, all right, yeah.
I
It
just
felt like in
imagine
my
like
head.
a train conductor in the middle of a winter storm, just like pulling levers and doing things just to keep the line on.
Literally,
Well produced.
like I said, it's a one-man army pulling all types of levers over here. But I do appreciate it, guys. I'll take that as a compliment.
It's not about Jewish voters, it's about Christian voters. Because here's the math. Evangelicals, they make up about 25 to 30% of the US population. Jews, they just make up 2%. So if you're a politician in a red state, especially, or a swing state district, who are you more worried about upsetting? Exactly. Christian Zionists aren't just part of the Israel lobby. According to some experts, they are the Israel lobby. And their loyalty, it's not to a party, it's to the prophecy. And this is what makes the Christian Zionist movement so powerful and so unique. It's not about logic, it's not even about geopolitics. It's about destiny. They're pursuing something. And that brings us to the uncomfortable part. Christian Zionism is often the supporter of the most hardline Israel policies, things that even many Israeli Jews oppose. They back settlement expansion, they support total Israeli control over Jerusalem, they even oppose peace talks. They believe the end times require conflict in the Holy Land. It's a belief system that's not only political, it's apocalyptic. And here's where things get especially controversial. In their book, The Israel Lobby and U.S. Foreign Policy, authors John Mearsheimer and Stephen Walt argue that pro-Israel advocacy, especially from Christian Zionism and neoconservatives, played a major role in dragging the U.S. into the Iraq War. Now think about that. Paul Wolfowitz, Douglas Faith, Richard Pearl, all were key architects of the war. All had ties to pro-Israel think tanks, and all pushed hard for regime change in Iraq. Even though Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction and no link to 9/11, in 2002, Benjamin Netanyahu testified before Congress saying, quote,
if you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region.
And look at that. Not so much, Bibi.
Man.
What it did do was destabilize the region, kill hundreds of thousands of people, and fuel a generation of terrorism. And yet, many Christian Zionists supported it because they believed in it. It was part of a divine plan. The same playbook is being used with Iran today. Even when the U.S.
BB,
intelligence
hey,
found that
Set.
Iran had
Yo, what's up?
halted its
BB is what you would call a false prophet because everybody is just following him to the ends of their demise,
I mean, here's
treating
the thing.
him like he's the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I always do wonder, like, how does the Israel expect the Middle East to look at them after this? Like, to be quite honest with you. And let's be real, the only way Israel was able to carry this off was under the protection of the United States.
And from the Christian perspective, we're just not told the stuff that I'm learning on your show. We're not told that he's unpopular. We're not told he's
I was told he was unpopular in 2019 from a Jew from Israel that came over the United States. Like he was like, no, people fucking hate him over there
I'm
because
just
he's
saying
running.
in the churches.
Yeah.
In the
Mhm.
churches, they're not sharing the negatives. They're trying to keep a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which I hate that we're in this position, like where you like it's almost like we've treated Israel like our little kid and protected them so much and thrown so much after them for it to turn out like this with BB at the helm of it. It's
I believe we took Israel's side way too many times to the point where, like, the Middle East has a very distrust of the United States because it doesn't believe that our policies could ever separate from Israel's. So
yeah.
when you have that type of look of the United States, it kind of makes sense why a lot of these Middle Eastern countries don't really like us. It makes sense.
Well, I mean, they also don't like us because they see us as infidels. Like you know, they pick their wives, they pay a dowry to the family for their wives. You cannot get a divorce. You like
Mhm.
that is another aspect of, it's not hatred, it's death to the infidel. We are infidels in their theocracy.
Well, yeah, and some of these more extreme regimes, I would say that for sure. Like in Iran's, yeah, we'd be considered infidels. But
Yeah.
I would not know that about, I don't know, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine.
And to add, I think it's more or less opportunists taking advantage of the ignorant Americans. So it's not necessarily Americans that are like, oh yeah, give them whatever they want. Ooh, look, they're causing all these problems. Yay. It's more like we're just not told the facts in the church because, you know, uh, the church is trying to be their friend and ally in order to win them to the Lord. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I said, opportunists taking advantage of Americans' ignorance. So all this coming to light is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing, though, it's like we try to shade over what's going on in Israel or the worship of Israel with, well, really, I mean, Muslim hate. And I get it. I do get that. One, Islam is not compatible with first world countries. Like that's just a fact.
It's
But
not it hey Seth, it's not hate. Like
it's,
no one is advocating to go destroy Islam. We want to
I
live
mean,
amongst it.
you sure, G? Come on now. Hey, do you not read the comments when I play the, when I play the pro Palestine side? You don't be reading those comments, G.
So
I
set
mean,
from my perspective,
I remove those comments. So
from
All
my
right.
from my perspective, when we hear Muslims or, you know, Islamic extremists, when they challenge us, we're like the person that's getting called out. We're like, we're
we're
not going to
always on
back.
defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to back
Yeah.
down. We're not going to back down. You know, we're proud of who we are, and we're brave too. So
But here's the
like
thing.
our response back is, we'll bring it then.
No, I
You
get
know,
it. And I get why Christians are defensive because you guys have been under attack like for the past 4 years,
Well,
especially when
not
Islam
even
was having its surge. Like, you wouldn't
not
believe
even
how many.
not
Yeah,
even
what's
the
up?
past 4 years. Christians have been under attack forever.
Well,
Forever. It is a generational after generational thing, and it's
I'm,
hard to break that.
I'm
It's
talking
almost like,
more about the media's perception of
oh,
Christians.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if we're talking about persecution, I mean, shoot, what people or religion hasn't been.
it got
But
amped up for sure, but like
yeah,
the atheists and the other different religions, they really do team up against Christians.
they really did. I
Yeah.
agree with you. So I do get the defense of it, but that doesn't mean we should replace it with just the complete attack on. Like, here's the thing. I don't see Christians as just like, I don't believe that you all just think the same. You carry yourselves the same. Like, y'all different. I get that. There's extremist religious sets. I mean, there's one I can name is the KKK.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just like there's extreme Muslim sets like the Ayatollah. But do we sit there and try to shame the entire religion just for an extreme group of people? Well,
I
we
mean,
No,
shouldn't, but that's
so
what we do, though.
here's
that's
the
a good
thing.
point.
Here's
That's a
the
good
thing.
point,
Here's the
Seth.
thing, Set. The other side does do that to Christians.
But
Yeah.
Christians
That's
live
what
to
I'm
the other
saying.
side.
No, I fucking
Liberals
no.
attack Christians. Do you remember there was
And
some
hold on,
Baptist
and conservatives attack Muslims. I mean,
Not at the same degree.
they
Like
do, dog. They've been
fucking
doing it
we
every
need
time a war propaganda pops off. It's in a straight attack on Muslims.
Well, hold on a sec. Let me
All right.
clarify. We don't go out looking for the trouble. Okay. But when
Okay, hold on. Now, Luke, hold on. You guys don't. Now you guys though, and I hope that you're not taking this as a personal attack, but
Yeah,
I'm telling you
I'm
what
listening.
I've been seeing, like, because there's been the Christian Crusaders, like my man, what was the guy who destroyed Billy Carson? Like, you know, there's Christians who are actually going out there to the forefront looking for the smoke.
Wes.
Yeah, Wes. Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually guys going out there looking for the smoke. And I'm not, and West does it on the more intellectual side, but there are guys who does it on the more like, well, hateful side or the more physical side of it. So it may not be you guys, but like I said, it's like there is a bit of a ignoring of extreme Christians, like but all the magnifying glass is done on the extreme Muslims. That's just my only point right there.
I would say that the magnifying glass is put on them because they are the ones that are trying to oppress Christians. You know, we for all the hate speech and shit that you want to like throw out there, like I can say the most hateful shit that I want to, but that's not going to have any effect on a Muslim's life. What will have an effect on a Christian's life is, you know, going overseas and then getting attacked, and you know, you cannot walk down the street in a Muslim country
And that's
without following Sharia
that's what I
law.
was saying earlier. We Christians aren't like specifically
Well, hold on
targeting
now.
them for violence.
Now, you guys say that Muslims are trying to be, hold on, explain that again, like how Muslims are being violent towards
No,
absolutely. Like just like going down the street, if you break Sharia
Yeah.
law, you get
but that's
punishment.
in their country. See, this is the problem
Right.
that we're thinking about.
That's
When
what
we
I'm
talk
saying.
about Muslims, I'm talking about the Muslims here. And then it does seem that a lot of people try to radicalize that by bringing themselves outside of America. Remember, when they was creating all this propaganda against Muslims, the Muslims in America were the ones that was suffering it, not the ones who was being the real terrorists, the ones here.
But
that was my main problem.
It's not the
So
same.
I'm
Because
just saying though, can you
Christians,
do that? Can you do that
But-
with Muslims in America? Yes, but can you do that in Sharia law country, which I do think is a bit unfair to bring up? But no, you can't.
Can I make a point?
Christians
Can I
are
make a
slaughtered
point?
on the street and made examples of.
So the Muslim hate and Islamophobia came after a massive terrorist attack. That does not happen on the daily. That is not the norm. That was a reaction, and people were emotional and sad and were looking for someone to blame. That is not how Christians carry themselves. That is, to this day, we haven't gone over to an Islamic country and, you know, fucking blown up their fucking world.
Well, actually,
with after we've fought wars with them. That's a little bit differently. They weren't fighting a war. They killed
I
3,000 civilians.
I see your point set. We are fighting them. It's just we got ships and planes. But what I'm saying is, like, if Christians
we didn't go over to Iraq
I would say
and
this:
start
if
an
we want to
insurgency.
bring up 9/11, then we'd actually have to be real about 9/11 and be real that the reason why 9/11 was carried out was due to the Christian support of Zionism in the Middle East, which drove those guys to do so. Like,
right. So if
the Bush family wanted a forever war, let's be honest.
But he came after the lie, saying that, oh, they're after our freedoms. But really, it was about our support for Israel in the Middle East.
He stoked up anger from the Christians, but it's not like Christians were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start making bombs and delivering them, you know.
Right. Yeah. Like think about this. With that happened, and that was bad, I agree. But Muslims can safely live within our country, not their country. They can immigrate to this country and safely live
hold
into
on
it.
now. To say that Muslims can't safely live in their country is a bit of a stretch.
Christians can't live safely in their country.
In Muslim countries. Yeah. Okay.
Right. You see what I mean? There's a difference between the aggressor and the person that's been persecuted.
Right.
Okay, I can get all right. I get behind that one. All right.
Sorry, it took me a minute to unravel it because I'm like trying to parse my words.
And to clarify, Christians are pacifist, soldiers aren't.
by
Christian
nature.
soldiers,
Yeah.
Christian soldiers are going over there, and you know, maybe there's some religious hatred, and you know that, but uh, if the Christian isn't a soldier, we're not we're not attacking. But over there, uh, it's part of their culture
Their whole
to
family's raised up. Like
Hold
yeah.
on, and shout out to my man Daniel Castro. He says, "Don't blame Christians for political actors." But isn't
Yep.
that what we do for Muslims, though?
No, absolutely not. So
I mean,
so
is it
that's
Saddam or Bin Laden? Like, not
It's
everybody agree with
both.
them. They had their own political idea behind what they were doing.
right. There's a difference between politics and terrorism, though. Terrorism
But
is
then people
extreme
would consider our
politics.
politics terrorism, Monty. People consider our politics terrorism.
We're not killing people.
But I mean, Monty.
That's what terrorism is. Like terrorism is violence, but with a political ideology behind it.
And that's what a lot of people believe that what we're doing in a lot of these countries.
So the difference is their non-soldiers are killing Christians. Our non-soldiers aren't. We're not killing Muslims. That's the difference.
Right. Like we don't. A Muslim doesn't walk past me and I don't spit on him.
Right.
Like that's just that's I want to say microaggression, but in the context of you could lose your life, that is a minor thing. Like that is what that's the premise that you need to prepare your, like even my even women that are in the military that go overseas wear a
Oh my
hijab.
God. Somebody said death to the chant, death to America chant. And I'll be real with you. I was hearing that until I figured out we had a whole song called Bomb Iran.
Bomb,
So
bomb,
Rita,
bomb, bomb,
bomb
Iran.
Iran, bomb Iran. And it was a banger. But we can't sit there and say and get mad at their death to America chant. We had a banger called Bomb Iran.
But set,
Yeah,
you are over.
bomb military. Hold on. Bomb military targets.
They didn't
to
say that.
stop
They said
them
we're
from-
gonna turn Iran into a parking lot. Bomb Iran. Like, let's be
Yeah.
real. Come on, guys.
But set, you are overlooking the minutia of it. Okay, we're not a culture built around that. They are a culture built around persecuting Christians. Okay, they are, and they defend the terrorists. You know, the people planting bombs on the roadside to kill Marines. The civilians are protecting them. The Hamas and like the people around them, they'll replace Hamas when they die with other civilians. So
And here's
it's
the
just
thing too, that like my mom, I keep bringing my mom up because she's the most first hand account that I have of this. So if it looks like I'm just sucking up to her, I'm not. I'm just bringing like some sort of experience to the table. She said like the message that Saddam gave his people that the Americans are here to rape your children, steal your farms, everything like that. And there was a lot of insurgency because that's what those people thought. When that's one of the reasons that we changed our rules of engagement to just not shoot at anybody that shoots at you unless you take a casualty.
But then we kind of
Because
take a risk by putting like a whole military base there, even though they didn't want it. So then we kind of like force our military power on them.
so I mean, the guy was a brutal dictator. So yeah, we
That's what we
overthrew it.
said. But then when we killed him, it got even worse.
It got worse because of all of the propaganda that was being put out.
I will say this:
information,
there's one thing
when
we can never
information
find
was,
out, that could these guys have worked out if they without our interference.
I have a question.
I doubt it.
Set, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did the Democrats, did the Bush family, did they want peace in the Middle East, or did they want to tear things up and shift
did they want
the
to
power
fund Lockheed
balance?
Martin?
Yeah, did they want to shift the power balance, or did they want peace in the Middle East?
Now, back in that day, I do believe
Like
there were
Hillary,
some people. Oh no. Okay, we all know the neoliberals and neoconservatives. Yeah, those guys did not want peace in the Middle East.
She clapped when Gaddafi died. You saw that.
Yeah.
And Bush, he was very, like, the way he worded the war on terrorism. There was no start date, there was no end date. It was
the word
like,
war on terrorism, the global war on terrorism, leaves it open ended. We can just go
yeah,
attack anybody whenever we
it
want.
was like them declaring jihad on the Middle East. So I just think that there's a political back and forth. There's a political group that doesn't want to tear things up like the other group does. And
Think about it this way, Set. So
Hold
Osama
on.
bin
Let's see.
Laden.
Hold on. Why are we okay? So you guys keep
Sorry.
acting like these guys aren't going off American aggression here, and I get what you guys are saying. Their atrocities are terrible. I don't agree with what they did, but I do like how I don't like how we just try to make these guys seem like madmen who just hate us for no reason but other than their religion. That's just a lot.
I mean, no one just blindly hates somebody. Everybody feels founded in their hatred. Like,
Yeah, but
hatred
it
is a
kind of seems
strong.
like we just validate their reasons and and I'm cool with that. Like, trust me, I'm okay that we're winning every situation. But I'm never gonna sit here and pretend like, oh, well, like we didn't do shit to them, and we didn't just do things to disable their whole like economy. We did things to disable their friends around them. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like we didn't do that, even though I'm happy that we did because we won in the end. Did it cause more problems down the end? Of course. Were there are problems? No.
I just think what Trump did was completely different from the Obama administration, from the Clintons, from the Bushes, from Biden. His in and out, no casualties.
Was totally unorthodox.
And guys, here's the thing though. I don't think we can honestly imagine what these people think or feel. Well, I can kind of imagine it. If these almighty powerful Americans just came out of nowhere, I don't really know the situation, but I know they bombed my friends and family. Then a terrorist group later on down the line tell me about how these Americans bomb my friends and family.
So that's the thing, Set. They did not.
And then now they're raising their whole entire generation on this premise of America's evil. Like,
right. So you're working on a false premise based off of propaganda. We did not go over there and bomb women and children. We did not go over there and bomb families.
No. That's not me saying it. That's them. That's what they teach them.
Exactly. So that is you just because someone was lied to doesn't mean that they're founded in the wrongdoing that they do because of that lie.
Okay, You're right. But is that true for every Middle Eastern country that teaches them that? You're saying that we never did anything to them?
No.
There's hard evidence that says that when the United States carries out a mission, that it is 100% for military, military strategy, or like when we went over there and bombed the hell out of Iran for 24 hours, all we hit was Saddam's infrastructure and Saddam's military bases so that he could lose his grip over the Iraqi people. That's all we did. And he went over there and said, "See what they did to me? They're going to do that to you," and just propagated it over and over and over again. And some of the people were like, "Oh, fuck, I'm going to lose everything." And that's what created a lot of extremism. It was unfounded extremism, but it's like the liberal media fear-mongering people now. That's what they did.
Yeah. And the amount of propaganda in our country concerning like transgender and
now hold on, guys.
all that
I
stuff
know I am
is
talking about
like,
the stand. You
is-
guys are kind of like lasering in on a topic that you can kind of the problem going 2-on-1 though, but it's all good.
I'm sorry. It's just.
But no, it was a great point though. I do hear your point though. But when I relate that, like I hear you.
We're attacking you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm okay with it. It's just that I'm like, all right, I hear your point with the Iran situation, but then I'm like, there's other countries that we've definitely disabled and
what country?
Sudan?
What where we have went over there? Well, I mean, I can't defend Obama, but even with Obama, when he was attacking and using drone strikes, they were strategic drone strikes against specific enemies of the United States that had committed war crimes against the United States.
And in those strikes, do we not take out civilians? Like, look, I'm
Yeah,
okay with
our
it.
hands
I'm
are dirty.
cool.
Our hands
Here's
are
the
dirty,
thing,
just
though.
not
Like,
as dirty.
we can't get mad at them, and I get it. We can defend ourselves from them. I just sit there and just can't paint people as all evil when we've done evil to them.
No, we're not. I don't think we've done
But
evil
that's
to
how
them,
y'all
and
kind of coming off.
I don't
Our
think
hands
that
are
all of those
dirty.
people are evil. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're all evil. I think they're a group of people that are scared because their life is constantly in turmoil because of their leaders.
America will start a war over the dollar, okay? And that's different, but it's somewhat similar to them starting a war over religion.
I feel like we need a Muslim up here because I feel we're being unfair right now. We need to
Ah.
have a
No,
Muslim up here
so
to
that's the
defend
thing.
themselves.
A Muslim doesn't need to defend themselves. In my opinion, a Muslim does not need to defend themselves.
But damn, it's
What
like
need?
saying you don't care what they think about.
No. I absolutely care what they think. What I'm saying is they have nothing to defend. They've done nothing wrong. We
Right.
have to defend our actions.
Now, bro, if you actually hear it out, these Muslims, they have all the list in the world of what America has done to some of their countries, some of their neighbors. Oh, they have a list for us. It's just that we don't hear them out. And I kind of think what you said kind of like proved their point.
Is it what they've experienced or what they've been told by people who are lying to them?
Well, a lot of it from what they experienced, and you're also right from what people told them or fed them a story and what they've been lied to about of America's atrocities. But then some people also their parents came from some of these atrocities, or
it's propaganda fueled conflict on both sides. You're right, Set. It's propaganda fueled conflict on both sides, but
like
we're a little more civilized about it than they are. We have more power. We could do a lot more damage if damage was the goal. And to Monty's point, that's not what we're doing. But if they could, they would be. They would be sending.
Honestly, in my honest opinion, I think that if they could, then we just leave them alone and we'd have that mutual respect.
No, so I want to give you a perfect example.
Over 100%.
Yeah,
if we had the same amount of power, you think the Muslim countries
they
would
would
just automatically have a war with us?
Not the same. If they had more power than us, we'd already be speaking their language.
I mean, bro, let's be real. Let's be real. We have more power than them, and we already control most of their leaders. So who are we to judge?
But they're not slaves to us as we would be to them.
Bro,
that's the difference.
We control some of their leaders. Like, how can we say that honestly? Like, the Jordan guy, we control him. We literally control most of their leaders, guys. Let's be honest here.
Here's
the difference. Here's the
Middle
difference.
East, Middle East.
Yeah, we put a lieutenant in Leavenworth because he committed. He shot at an unarmed civilian. Now, if an Al Qaeda operative shot at a civilian and the roles were reversed, he would be celebrated. We put him in Leavenworth. Like that's the difference between their way of thinking and ours. They want
hold on. My point here was that we can't say that, oh, well, we're using our power better when, let's be real though, like the way you guys are framing it, if they have more power than us, they take us over. Well, that's exactly what we're doing with them, and we have more power than them, and we've taken over most of their country damn near by like leader proxy.
We have not taken over. We absolutely have not taken over. We're not telling them that they must worship. Hold on.
I mean, we got Jordan. We got Iraq. We got Pakistan. I mean, we run these guys.
The Taliban runs Iraq and Afghanistan right now.
Hold on.
Well, my bad.
Hold on. Set.
Yeah.
We were over there to fight for the US dollar, the oil, the poppy fields, all that stuff. That wasn't Americans voting for that. That was our government just wanting
that plays
what they
we
had.
have the power, so we took it. like I said, if like now you guys didn't want to take my argument of, well, if they had mutual power and we had mutual destruction like we do with Russia, we'd be cool.
I don't teach my
but what we're
kids.
proving
I
is
don't.
that
I don't
since we do
teach my
have that power,
kids.
we do bully these guys into whatever we want them to do.
I don't teach my kids to go to heaven. You got to go over there and take their land.
Oh no, of
You know what I'm
course not.
saying? I'm not teaching my kids, hey, you know what? These guys are Satan. You know, I'm not
These
teaching
guys are
my
baby-
kids.
Oh, and my bad for
baby
Iran.
eaters.
I meant Syria. My bad, Syria.
I'm not teaching
Well,
my
we got
kids
involved in
that
Syria because Gaddafi was gassing his people.
No. Current Syria. Remember the regime change currently through Assad? Like how Israel kind of helped Syria overthrow Assad, and now we got this new guy in here.
Set.
Yeah.
Read the super chats.
Got you. Appreciate. Oh crap.
Castro just yelled at me.
All right, got you. He said, shout out my man Castro. God is vengeance. Anything else is wrong and a sin. Shout out to my man Castro. And he said, shout out Nisi Jones. She said, why do Mormons try to convert Christians? Wait. Luke, you want to tackle that one?
there's more of us.
He said it's more just on the sheer numbers of it. But all right, guys. All right. Well, then, wow, we got into a bit of a Middle Eastern debate right there.
I mean, to be fair, Christians are
agree.
trying to convert Mormons too.
The premise that you're setting is absolutely correct. And if you look at it from one side, if you look at it from the way they see it, they're just being taken over, and Americans are trying to force their way of life. We don't care how they live. We just don't want them to come over here and force their way of life on us, which is what we're seeing in countries like the UK. We're starting to see it in New York. We're starting to see it in Michigan. That is what is happening. We do not want that in our country.
We forced our military aggression on them, and they forced a way of life on us.
Nah,
I mean,
it's
crap.
not
It's a little
as
bit different
simple
than
as
that.
It's not as simple as that. There's
right.
been a back and forth, and it's like the cop taking away the person in custody's weapon away. They're not going to give it back to them just because they're in handcuffs. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to give it
That's a
back
good
to
analogy.
them. They're going to wait for them to get released, and then they have to come back to the place and pick it up themselves, and not give any dirty looks when they're doing it. We're
the big bad police officer that can just kind of decide what people get to do.
We're the more powerful, prosperous country. They want to take us over. We're not going to give them the ability to do that. Their government, the people,
it's not about giving them the. I know. Here's the thing. I'm not for giving these guys the ability. I just want to call a spade a spade. And we're talking about what they would take us over when that's kind of what we did to them.
No, that's totally like we did not take them over. Taking them over means we can move over there freely without getting beheaded.
Right.
That's what taking them over would
they
look
still
like.
have their religion. We wouldn't have that option if they came over here and took over us.
We're basically keeping the Western way of life sustainable by not letting them try to overtake it.
But Set, you are right. It's complicated, and the other side doesn't get to make its point enough. That's why you felt like getting another Muslim in would be beneficial. But I don't think they're looking at it
just because, like I said,
they're looking at it rationally. I don't think they're
so
looking at
Muslims
it.
can't look at things rationally.
I'm not saying they can't. I'm
saying the theocracy that they're like, it's like the North Koreans. They're basically brainwashed from the moment that they wake up that America is this horrible thing, and you don't want that. I want you to keep control over them.
And it's a religion that promotes world domination. Christians aren't trying to dominate the world. We're not.
We used to.
Great
Britain wasn't Christian, or am I tripping?
That was Germany. That was
Great Britain wasn't Christian though. Like that was like the biggest empire in history. Roman Catholic Empire.
You're right. You're right. The Catholic Church, it probably shared a lot of similarities to like the way things are. But
that's the thing. We don't run. That's the thing. Maybe we should be mad at Britain. Not the United States. They're not saying death to Britain.
Christianity just so happened to be the most powerful group of people. Christians happen to be the most powerful group of people throughout time, so they were able to enforce their will. Like, it
We
kind of sounds
weren't.
like that.
We weren't.
We
I
weren't.
mean,
It was being
but
naturally
Christians build the
started.
most prosperous societies. Let's keep it a buck.
Well, so it facilitates
Mhm.
economic growth, being able to forgive and forget and treat other people like you'd want them to be treated. But Muslims don't teach that. They don't teach that.
Don't teach
Do-
what? Having common ground?
Look.
No, they
Like I
don't.
said,
If
they
If you're
do.
an
Then
infidel,
we see, come on now, that's not fair. You
if
guys are
they're
acting as
beheading
if you know
people-
religion that you don't practice, that you never read the full Quran on. Come on now, guys, that's not fair. And when I said I need to bring a Muslim up here, they would tell you, yo, no, we don't teach that. That's not in our book. These are radicals that you are taking for Islam. Just like if we took the
that's a cop
KKK
out.
for if
right?
we took the KKK for Christianity, then only Christians could be white. I mean, then only
Okay,
whites
okay.
could be Christians.
Hold on. I got a point.
The KKK
So-
is not in power, though. The KKK does not
Monty,
have any.
Monty, that wasn't the point though.
Oh,
I got a point. The slavery in the South. Okay,
Mhm.
there were white people fighting the slave owners to free them, and when they lost, they got hung like the slaves trying to escape. Okay, that's a fact.
yep.
Where are the Muslims fighting for the Christians in their country so they can have some peace? Where are they?
Well,
There-
here's the thing, though.
hold on,
Like I
hold on.
said, you
There's-
have to
there's-
ask the
there's-
Muslims on how they
there's-
feel about
hold
that
on,
one, my man.
hold on.
I'll see.
There's-
We're
I know
assuming that they're
I know a
coming
guy.
from a very disingenuous
any.
place. We're assuming it. So, and I see why you're assuming that because you're on the teams of Christians. That's why I would think that wouldn't it be fair to talk to a Muslim, or you guys go out there and talk to a Muslim, see how they actually feel about this, instead of you guys putting the Christian lens on everything.
So who
I
is?
have a guy
They
that's from
turn their own
Pakistan I
family
could bring on
members
here.
in. They turn their own family members in. Who's out there fighting for Christians? They aren't. But
Now,
we have
hold on,
people
now,
here.
Luke. Can we sit there and say that these people, and like I don't agree with it, I don't at all, but some people agree that Christians don't mix in well with Islam and they don't want them there. And I'll be
But
real with
we
you, I don't
have-
like
we have-
that. I
we
don't
have
like
people
that.
here
So who are we
fighting
to tell them
for-
that when we kind of do the same thing here?
We have people here fighting
We
for
don't
them.
do that though. We
have
let them in
people-
our
We just
society.
spent the whole time just pretty much saying that they're not
No.
compatible, you know, like that they can barely live here. They were like, come on, guys.
No, but just think of all
No,
the pro-Muslim
but they
people
do.
that aren't
They
Muslim
do live here
here.
though.
Okay, and Christians live in also Muslim countries as well. Is that not true?
But
No,
that's what I'm saying. They're persecuted.
But do they? But you guys are pulling out the extremes as if those are the only ones that exist. There are Christians living peacefully in Muslim countries.
Yeah,
But you guys
but,
are pulling the extremes.
but
I would say
the-
if it was equal, then Muslims would be spit on and beheaded, and have all of their property taken
But
from them.
does that go
would-
down in every Muslim country, Monty? Everyone?
As far
there's
as I
no
know,
way to
anyone
know
that's
that.
there are cases that you can follow from every country. Yes.
Not every country, dog. Not every country does that to Christians. Not every. There are Muslim countries that Christians can go in there and live happily in.
I mean, China's doing it. China takes the pastor, tortures him until he gives up his congregation.
But China's kicking out Christians and Muslims, though. They just like a Marxist state in a way. They don't
Look,
like any religion.
I'm just adding more fuel to the fire, I guess.
Good point.
But
Now
Christian-
we're arguing in 5 dimensions instead of 2.
But there are Christians here that will defend the right for Muslims to practice their religion here. Just like there are Christians that will say, no, go back to your country. All that. But over
here's the
there,
thing, guys, I've actually
there-
heard Muslims speak out for the rights of Christians to practice their religion as well. So if you guys think you're the
Where,
only
here?
one that's doing it, that is hilarious. I'll be real with you.
Was it
guys.
here?
Bro, here no, they're in other countries, dog. They're in Muslim countries, speaking up for Christians. But I'm being
All
real
right,
with you,
well, maybe-
their
maybe-
voice don't
maybe
get
that's my-
recognized because they're the unpopular opinion.
all right,
So we can't
congratulations.
say that it
Seth.
doesn't happen, but it is an unpopular opinion. Just like it's an unpopular opinion for me as an American to speak up for Muslims. The way your guys giving me shit right now, don't you think the same Muslim guy speaking up for Christian getting the same shit?
Well, first of all, I'm not giving you crap, Seth. I
We're
respect you.
debating. I'm not giving you shit.
Oh,
It's,
no, bro,
I don't-
I'm just,
I don't look at you. I don't look at you as less because you're defending somebody.
Right.
That's what
No,
I'm
no, no.
saying.
Like giving me shit is like, come on, guys. Like we're going back and forth about it. It is the debate. That's what I mean.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to say you guys are attacking me.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You-
I was gonna say I'm not trying to. I'm sorry.
oh no,
Yeah.
no. You're attacking my idea. You're not attacking me. I get it.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Because
you pointed out some bigotry, I guess. If it's true that there are Muslims out there doing what non-slave owners did in the South, then I'm wrong. I'm just flat wrong. Okay. I didn't think that there were.
I will say this, bro. Think about it like this: we are cool with a lot of Muslim countries to the point where they won't attack Christians.
Yeah.
We are actually cool with a decent amount, not all of them, not the most powerful
Right,
of them, I'll admit, but
because
we
they're
got
not
some good guys
Russian.
out there. But I will admit though, you guys are bringing up some pretty good points though. I will admit because there are extremists, and
Well,
when
you got me to
we
doubt
hear
everything I believe, Set.
huh? I said what?
You're the one winning the argument.
Really? I don't think so. I ain't
No,
gonna lie. I was like,
no, I conceded. I guess I found some bigotry, in myself.
I
I
just
I
I
thought it
see.
was. Go ahead.
I guess my point is I see what you're saying, and in spite of what you're saying, I still do not believe that the 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 playing field is equal for Christians in a Muslim country versus Muslims in a Christian country.
Can you at least admit that, Set? It's
okay,
not
yeah,
the same.
yeah,
There
for
is
a
a,
fact.
but
Like
it's
the way you're talking about like opportunity, well, like the
No
playing field, like
opportunity, like the
the
opportunity to
expression of
live.
religion, right?
if things
And
were
yes,
reversed. If things were reversed, would it be the same?
What
and
you
I
mean
don't
if
think it would.
Muslims ran America?
Yeah,
No.
I
Well,
don't think
just
it'd be the
if
same.
everything was reversed,
Oh, you mean if Muslims had the over dominating power and all that good stuff?
and they
Yes,
were
yeah,
here militarily, and they were taking out our leaders and putting in, you know, putting in Muslim ones, and
Yeah, they
Christians were
would do
out
it.
protesting, and
I mean,
do you?
absolute power corrupts. So, I mean, since we doing
w-
it, I mean, who are we to say that they won't do it at a worse degree? Like I would say, they'd probably do it at a way more extreme degree than what we're doing to them. I'll be real with you on that.
And that's
Because
and
what
that's
they would
that's
do
why
to
I
like us
argued.
doing our proxy shit, they would probably be over here like beheading any Christian or beheading anybody who speaks against Islam. So I will
That's what
give
yeah,
you
they do
that.
anyway.
even
Absolutely, they would
even
do
like
that.
the roadside, just pulling people out of cars, asking them what
That,
the Quran says. If they
okay,
don't
no.
know,
That's they don't do that.
if they don't
That's what
know,
Pakistan did in
boom.
India.
I don't know, man. That's
Exactly. If
Then
Pakistan,
that's
there's
a very
you just
extreme.
proved my point. If
That's a
Pakistan
very
did that in
extreme.
India, what's that?
Oh, Pakistan. Oh, you said Pakistan did that in India, right?
If Pakistan did that in India, what's to stop them? What if they had the same force, the same firepower, the same military will that we have? What do you think they would do if they've already proven that that's what they do? We don't go over to Middle
Well,
Eastern
because
countries
they
and
do it
pull
because
people
they
out.
believe that there's a persecution of their people. Ironically, the same reason why we say, "Oh, there's a persecution of Christians," they believe that there's a persecution of Muslims going on in India.
Right, exactly. So they believe there's a persecution. So what is their response to it? To commit genocide, essentially.
I mean, here's the thing, though, but
convert
they
or
also believe
die.
that their people were
Convert or
being
die.
killed as
Yeah.
well.
What's that?
Their people. Okay. We're talking about the Pakistan India side, but we're talking about America, right?
I'm
So
talking
like,
about jihad versus infidels. We are the infidels, and they are committing jihad in the name of Islam. The extremists are committing jihad in the name of Islam onto us. If they were given the chance, they would
now,
absolutely wipe it out in their
now,
image.
here's the thing: if we understood Islam better, you would understand that Islam, these guys will attack anybody who they believe is on their land. So when we put military bases there, we attack it and all that good stuff. Even on the behalf of other countries, they are going to fight us over that. So this is why I believe, and a lot of
Mhm.
Muslims who told me this, that if America would just like keep their hands off us, we wouldn't do anything to them because we don't believe in attacking people who don't bother us.
Seth, there was a point in time where we weren't even involved in the Middle East, and this conflagrated. So
I mean, wait, when was that? Because I mean, since Israel, we've been involved in the Middle East.
Israel, we've been a country for 249 years as of the other day. So
250.
is
Yeah.
249, 1775 or 1776. My bad.
Okay.
250 is next year.
Wait,
So
what did we do in this 250
Yeah,
celebration
that's
for?
what confused me.
Yeah,
that's next year. That's next year.
Okay.
The army was created before the country was.
okay.
Yeah. So my point in all this is we have been a country peacefully existing with Muslims for 200 out of those 250 years, but suddenly there's a problem, and it's not it hasn't been completely
I think I already
completely
identified the
peaceful.
problem though, because based off their religion, if you impose on their land, they will attack over that. And
Also,
we
they
did
were
that.
Here's the
attacking
thing:
our ships. They were
they
attacking
were
our
attacking
ships
our ships and
way back
the
to
Barbary pirates.
yeah, way back to founding fathers. And they were like, "Why? Why are you attacking us? We're not attacking you." And they're like,
You have to pay a summon to fucking do trade in what they claimed were their waters.
So we weren't
Yeah.
following the law. So we weren't following the laws that they set down and they attacked us.
We
It
were
ain't right, but
peaceful.
I mean,
We were
that was back
peaceful.
in the
They
day,
weren't.
right?
Yeah,
Hold
that
on,
was
hold on.
back
You
in the
tell
day.
me because of that attack that
No,
they
no, no,
feel like
no.
we crossed their
That's just
rules
one
laws, they're
example.
not
That's just
peaceful.
one
Yeah.
example of
Hold on, hold
them
on.
Yeah.
Because I
them
get the
exerting
example,
force.
but you're kind of saying, well, we kind of crossed their lines, and because we did that, they didn't like that. They're not peaceful.
You gave him too
Like
much room.
that. I mean,
Monty,
that's
you
not
gave
too
him
much
too much
room.
room.
Come on.
He
We're pretty much
gave him an
saying that.
inch. He took a
But
mile.
that's the thing. It was an
All right.
unjust system of the Ottoman Empire
Right.
to try to take over the world, and we were just trying to do trade, and
Yeah.
we
But
weren't
was the
settling on
Ottoman
their
Empire the
lands.
over dominating force?
And
At,
our
And we
they
didn't try
thought
to
they
policy.
go
were at
against
that.
that force and
Hold
just
on,
said,
hold
fuck
on. No,
what
no, no,
y'all
no, no,
talking
no, no,
about.
no.
We want to
And
do
our
what we want to
policy
do,
was no
America.
foreign
No.
entanglements.
Here's
All
the
right.
thing. We weren't they no, they were not the over dominating force. No one
So
wanted to fuck with them. It was cheaper just to pay them off than to fight them. We were like, nah, we're not gonna
hey,
fucking pay you. We're gonna fucking fight.
Yeah, we fought over
so didn't
3%
mean didn't that mean we
taxes.
got violent? We didn't want to pay them.
They're holding us ransom. Yeah, we're gonna get violent. We don't negotiate with
Well, I
terrorists.
mean, we
Even
could have
back
turned the hell around. We didn't have to fight them. I mean, I'm just playing, but I'm
Oh my
glad that we
goodness.
fought them. But let's be real, though. We did cross a line with these guys.
they don't get to impose the line though. That's the thing.
Bro,
They
we
don't get
don't get to
to.
set the line, but we did.
All right, Set. We're both dead. We're both dead. You killed us both. We're done.
All right, let's go. All right, we'll go ahead and move the
I feel like
topic.
I just got my head cut off by a katana.
Yeah. Fatality.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, well, sure, we
Respect.
can go ahead and get on to the next video. Pete Hegseth actually just dropped an interview, so let's go over to our favorite military.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for
spending
having
some time with us. We all miss you on our screens all the time. How has this been? This has been a big career change, but you are serving at such an important time right now.
Well, it's the honor of a lifetime. It really is. And to get a chance, I mean, I wish everybody could have an opportunity at the cabinet level to watch how President Trump operates.